From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
Hey fellas, this is T. I called once before a little while back to tell y'all about a story I heard about an unexplained phenomenon that happened to me at a church college I went to. And you have my permission to use this or whatever on the show, nickname, voice, reporting, whatever. What I wanted to bring to y'all's attention today was a few weeks ago in a town called Kingsport, Tennessee, Eastman Chemical Plant, or the Tennessee operation headquarters of the Eastman Chemical Company, had a pipeline burst, and this pipeline sprayed asbestos and several other chemicals into the air that actually coated the surrounding area, cars and homes, yards, sidewalks, etc. Now, this is not this in and of itself is not news. Eastman has an explosion every couple of years, and some kind of minor chemical problem every couple of years, and rarely anything ever gets done about it. However, the problem with what happened this time was the fact that Eastman knew about it. They knew about it for several hours before they actually released the information to the public, warning people that it was asbestos. Now, there's like a class action suit going on right now, or it's sort of in the early stages, but it is very unlikely that anything will actually happen to Kingsport because there is so much support by the local population for Eastman, which is based purely upon the dependence of the local economy on its existence. If Eastman was to go away, Kingsport would dry up. The city of Kingsport could not survive without Eastman. And as a result, the people of the city blindly defend Eastman and everything they do. And if it's something that you're interested in and want to hear a little bit more about, feel free to give me a call back. My grandfather used to drive a truck for Eastman back in the 70s and 80s, and I've got some stories about that y'all might be interested in. Black sites, picking things up in the middle of the night, transporting them across country in unmarked trailers with a discreet escort, that kind of cool stuff. But anyway, yeah, look into the recent explosion or the pipeline burst at Eastman Chemical Company in Kingsport, Tennessee. Y'all.
So, yes, T, you are absolutely correct. And I have, as some of us know, I have family in East Tennessee, in Kingsport. Full disclosure, I've had and have relatives, friends of the family who work at Eastman. It is a big, 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 big deal in the area. So, T, you said a couple of things that let me know you are on the level, and we are fellow hometown guys. One of my favorite parts there, Matt, is when T says, but it's Eastman and they have an explosion like every couple of years or so. It is so very true. And I think most people in the area will acknowledge that. Have you ever heard of, about Kingsport, but have you heard of Eastman before?
I want to say I've heard of Eastman, but I don't know. It feels like one of those names or the companies that I've seen on trucks or something, or going through Tennessee. I've noticed, but I have no idea what it is.
A lot of people probably associate it with Eastman Kodak, and it started out in Tennessee. It was founded way back in it was founded in the 1920s as a reaction to World War I. The guy who created it, George Eastman, wanted his own supply of chemicals for his photography stuff, and his search for different sources of chemicals ultimately led to the creation of what was originally called Tennessee Eastman. It is a big, big deal. Right now, I think they're a worldwide company. They've got 50 different sites globally. They employ 14,000 something people, and a lot of them are in Kingsport. T, you're also right about that. Kingsport would dry up without Eastman. But they also have a problem with repeated violations of, of safety standards. Like you said, there are a lot of explosions over the historical record from this place. The whole town would shut down sometimes when something bad happened, but there's a lot of support for this area. Kingsport is also a relatively conservative area. Most Americans would describe it as such. And the emphasis there is on continuing employment, right? On having a lucrative career path in an area of the country where, frankly, there are a lot of other towns that are struggling because they don't have something like an Eastman. So you could even say it's a bit of a devil's bargain. But if you want to go to your search browser of choice and put in like Eastman explosions history or something like that, just magic together a few words about pollution or contamination in Eastman and Kingsport, and you'll find no shortage of reporting on this. It is a known issue. The asbestos part is especially frightening because if they knew for hours and they knew asbestos is out there, then people almost certainly got exposed. And they're not going to see a lot of damaging health effects from that until much further down the road.
What I don't understand, Ben, is the phrase used in some of the reporting that you shared here about a high pressure steam line failure. Are we talking photo processing? Like that's what this is? Photography, photo processing chemicals that you would actually use in like a blacklight room or massive production process?
Yeah, they started with chemicals for photography, but now it's so much bigger than that. They create things like fibers, like cellulose acetate. They make a lot of polyesters and adhesives. Just when you think of chemicals, they want you to think of Eastman and then call them and buy some stuff. A high-powered steam pipe failure is you can see the official company statement. They call it an operational incident, but a steam line failure, I'm just posting their official statement here in our chat, is essentially the line or the pipe providing high pressure steam to different areas to power everything. It pops, and the explosions can be quite spectacular. And I'm not using that in the nice connotation. I mean, it's a spectacle. You hear that explosion miles away, plumes of smoke containing God knows what going everywhere. And when that utility line carrying that steam, when it explodes, you could hear the sound as far as 5 miles away. There's a rumbling in the ground. You know what I mean? And if you're not used to it, it feels like end of the world stuff. But if you've lived in Kingsport for a while, you're probably thinking, it's Eastman again. What, me worry?
Yeah. Well, but in this case, it sounds like it ruptured part of the building, because I'm assuming that's the source of the asbestos was probably older insulation in the building that got pulverized and aerosolized as the explosion occurred.
Yeah, their polymer production area was the most heavily impacted per their earlier statement, or per their official statement that came out on March 10th, 2022. But again, that's only one example. You can also see back in 2017, they were cited for, like OSHA in Tennessee got them for 4 serious violations at their coal gasification facility after some explosions again. And the main violation in that case, keep in mind when you hear these numbers, this is 2017, the main violation was a faulty valve. You know how much they got charged for that, Matt? $2,400.
Wow, that's pretty good. Nice work, y'all.
I mean, Doc works prolifically in the world of production. You and I have worked in the world of production as well in the past. If you came to me and said we can film a pretty decent explosion for just a little over $2,000, I would be like, you're a miracle
fines.
worker. Oh yeah, in fines. But like, I don't know how much does it cost to make a good explosion on camera. We're joking a little bit, but people have been injured by this stuff, and those chemicals that get released have to go somewhere, and they're not good for you. I hope that's not a hot take, but again, the issue is it's such a massive source of employment, and also everybody working at Eastman in Kingsport. I haven't been to other Eastman plants, but everybody working for Eastman in Kingsport is doing their best. You know what I mean? They're not villainous people. It's just a lot of moving parts with some things that can be very dangerous out in the wild. And when the news pops up, you don't really see a ton of deep dives into this. It maybe pops up in a local, an official report from Eastman, and then some local news, and then the news cycle moves on. And this stuff, to be fair, happens at facilities for all kinds of companies all across the world. And if you are not actively looking for them, or if you don't live in the area, it's very, very easy to miss them, which is a shame because this stuff is pretty important.